What's up, Renegades? I am Lupine Fiasco. Welcome to more daily FaB gameplay. For those of you who are new, welcome to the channel. What we do here is watch recordings of games I have played on Talishar. I will commentate, giving my thoughts on the ideal line for each turn cycle, talk about my thought process for why that is the best line, and compare what I think is correct to what I thought was correct at the time of recording. We'll compare the two outcomes, see which was better, and learn from that. Why we do this is to tighten up our gameplay decisions here in practice when it doesn't matter, so that we make optimal plays in paper competitive events when it does. Today's game is against Uzuri. Let's get into our sideboarding and game plan. Just so you all know, spoiler alert, I lose this game. And it's important to know that because we can look right here in sideboarding for part of why that loss occurred. This Emberblade list is available in the video description if you would like to follow along, see the current Uzuri sideboard plan, and try the deck out for yourself on Talishar. While you are in the video description, please like the video, leave a question or feedback in the comment section, and if you've not already done so, subscribe to the channel. It is the best way to help support free FaB content. You will be the first to know whenever I release a new video. New content comes 5 days a week. It includes gameplay, deck techs, and general FaB gameplay theory. Jumping into the sideboard. All of our equipment will stay the same. This is all the ideal setup for Uzuri. In this game, you will see me run 69 cards. I'm going to board in 3 Command and Conquers, 3 Reinforced Lines, and 3 Sink Belows. Why do I think this is bad? Because Command and Conquer is not a great card against Uzuri. It's expensive. Her hand is full of 3 blocks that she doesn't mind using to protect her arsenal. And she has a strong number of 1-card plays. Codex of Frailty, Leave No Witnesses, Death Touch from Arsenal if she has her Fiendal Spring Tunic available. There's just too much counterplay to Command and Conquer for it to be good in this matchup. And if it isn't good, that means it's bad. It's clunky and we don't want to draw it. If you check the deck list on FaB, you'll see that I'm also boarding out Double Strike in this matchup. Overall, Uzuri's equipment is too good at blocking. We aren't going to get our value out of Double Strike. It blocks for 2, and it isn't something we need in this matchup. I'm boarding 69 cards into the main deck here because I'm worried about fatigue. But we have multiple Phoenix Flames in this list, and FaB with multiple Phoenix Flames is very hard to fatigue, and that is because we can turn 2 blues into 5 damage without spending cards from our deck. And we do this with 2 Phoenix Flames in our discard. We can pitch a blue on our opponent's turn to pick up a Phoenix Flame. Then on our turn, we play that Phoenix Flame, we pitch our second blue to attack with Emberblade, and we use our floating resource to activate FaB, grab our Phoenix Flame from discard, and attack with that for 2. It gets the Shuko trigger and threatens our opponent's life total. So we get 2 cards from our opponent to stop this damage. We keep 2 cards in our deck, and whatever the other 2 cards in our hand are, we get to threaten our opponent's life total with those. FaB is very difficult to fatigue, and it is not necessary to board extra junk into your deck to prevent something that isn't a problem. We are boarding in our D-Reacts, our Reinforced Lines, and our Sink Belows. They fuel our path to victory against Uzuri, which is to block disruptive effects. We are never looking to arsenal anything if it isn't Reinforce the Line or Sink Below. We want our Uzuri's Command and Conquers and Leave No Witnesses to just be vanilla effects. Command and Conquer with nothing in arsenal is Brutal Assault. Leave No Witnesses with nothing in arsenal is Wounding Blow. Yes, it banishes a card off the top, but we're fine. We don't care about what comes off the top of our deck. The only things we want to arsenal are Reinforced Line and Sink Below. That lets us block out death touches, that lets us block out shakedowns, and generally prevent disruption. If we are playing 4 cards to 4 cards against Uzuri, we win because we will do more damage than she can. With all of that said, knowing that we're going into this game with a suboptimal deck, let's look for other opportunities to tighten up our play. We lose the die roll and are picked to go first. How are we going to set up this hand? Knowing that we don't want to arsenal anything. We can pitch a blue to activate FaB, get our Phoenix Flame out of arsenal, play that to turn on our Flame Call Awakening. Phoenix Flame for 0, Flame Call Awakening for 3, Ember Blade for 3, Phoenix Flame for 2, Snatch. We'll see how our opponent wants to block, but if they are blocking aggressively, if they block 3, 3, 2, they will only have 1 card available to block the Snatch. If the Snatch hits, great. If our opponent gives us armor as well as a card from hand, great. We'll see how it all shakes out. Remembering, we don't want to arsenal anything, so the Snatch hitting, giving us a card for the arsenal, could be good or bad. We could rip a defense reaction off the top, which would just be excellent for us. Otherwise, we can judge whether we want to arsenal, whether we want to keep the card in hand. Uzuri blocking our Phoenix Flame for 0 is an interesting decision. It's possible she doesn't like her hand and just wants to get rid of it. It's possible she was putting us on a Razor Reflex. It doesn't look like her hand had any big attacks in it, so she might just be looking to cycle it away. Here, we draw a Mounting Anger from our Snatch, and we have the option to arsenal or not arsenal. Keeping in mind, we never want to arsenal anything in this matchup, but there is no way to use this Mounting Anger to push damage. We can't pitch it to turn into a Phoenix Flame. We can't play it suboptimally. There's nothing we can do with it. So do we want to put it in arsenal? You'll see me in this game put it in the arsenal, hoping to dodge Command and Conquer, leave no witnesses. But I think at this point, the correct line is to not arsenal the Mounting Anger. Mounting Anger is one of the better attacks in our deck. We have a higher density of blues than other FaB lists, so there's a great chance that we get to play this Mounting Anger and start off a pretty good turn. So at this point, I would say don't arsenal this Mounting Anger. Don't worry about needing to protect it. Here, give and take for 3. There's no reason for us to block this. Leave no witnesses for 4. This is where we are punished for having a Mounting Anger in arsenal. Let's say we had kept this Mounting Anger in hand, so this Snatch is a Mounting Anger. Our turn is looking okay. We get to pitch Salt the Wound for Mounting Anger for 4. If Mounting Anger hits, we get to banish Soulbead Strike. Soulbead Strike comes in for 5. If Mounting Anger doesn't hit, we still get to Soulbead Strike, and we put a Sink Below in arsenal. As it is, leave no witnesses coming for 4. Do we want to protect our Mounting Anger? I would say yes. This hand without Mounting Anger to kick us off is pretty bad. I am looking to Sink Below, but with Sink Below, we have to worry about Flick Knives, Nerve Scalpel. Uzuri only gets to do it once, but she reduces the block value of Sink Below to 3, and this Leave No Witnesses hits. So there is value in letting her do that, because she only gets to do it once. We get it out of the way early so that we don't have to worry about it late. Our other line is to block Leave No Witnesses with Flamescale Furnace and Sink Below. To prevent all of the damage, we could block Leave No Witnesses with Flamescale Furnace and Soulbead Strike. Thinking about this line now, that is what I like the most. I like blocking with Furnace and Soulbead Strike. We have our Sink Below available in case this is a shred, but we block the Leave No Witnesses. We keep our Salt to pitch to our Mounting Anger. We can follow Mounting Anger up with Snatch, and we have a Sink Below for Arsenal. But even that is not great because we're giving up our Flamescale Furnace and we're giving up a threat. And all of this is avoided if we don't put this Mounting Anger in Arsenal and we don't need to worry about protecting it. What I do in this game is choose to block with the Sink Below, forcing the Flick Knives from our opponent. What do I want to sink here? Probably Soulbead Strike. Salt the Wound pays for an Emberblade, and if Soulbead Strike turns into a starter, then we get to starter, Emberblade, Snatch, which is a pretty good turn cycle. If Soulbead Strike turns into a blue, we can turn it into a Phoenix Flame to Phoenix Flame 3/4. But if we bottom our Salt the Wound and it turns into a blue, if it turns into something that doesn't start the chain, then we need this Soulbead Strike to hit, and there's a pretty bad chance that it does. We choose to bottom the Salt the Wound. We draw a Brand with Cinderclaw and play out our Brand into our Soulbead Strike into a potential Snatch. But you can see how we get punished for this. Now, this Soulbead Strike could have been an Emberblade. Instead, it gets Sink Belowed, and we are left with this Snatch that we stick into Arsenal, which is still probably incorrect, because depending on what Uzuri does, we have to protect it. If we had bottomed our Soulbead Strike, we get to Brand, Emberblade, play the Snatch. Maybe Snatch hits, maybe it doesn't, maybe it forces block from Uzuri, but now we don't need to worry about it in Arsenal. This is a big reason why we lost this game, is that we are sticking too many cards in Arsenal that we now need to protect. Uzuri here does not come with a Command and Conquer or a Leave No Witnesses. She comes with a Censor, which is not a card that I believe I have ever played against. I have no idea what she's going to pick here, and I'm not inclined to block this. 5 damage does put us at a 10-point deficit, but we have a pretty good hand here. Spreading Flames, Emberblade, Phoenix Flame, Activate 5, Phoenix Flame, Lava Burst. We're getting a Shugo trigger. We're getting 3 points of value out of our Spreading Flames. We have a finisher. This is looking pretty good for us. Censor hits. Censor names Phoenix Flame, which is really unfortunate for us. So knowing that we cannot play our Phoenix Flame, we're going to think about pitching it. We can pitch Phoenix Flame to attack with Spreading Flames. We can pitch our Warmonger's Diplomacy to attack with our Emberblade. Coming with Lava Burst at the end for a measly 3. It's still a 9 damage turn cycle. We keep our Snatch in Arsenal. Generally just not a good turn. The Censor naming Phoenix Flame came at a really bad time for us. And that's something I'm willing to chalk up to variance here. But still, having the Snatch in Arsenal that we need to worry about for a second turn is going to put us in a bad position. Play the Spreading Flames, pitch the Phoenix Flame. Okay, we will see what we get from blocks from Uzuri. playing out a Frailty Trap. At this point, I am not so inclined to attack with the Snatch. Snatch for 3 just gets a card from Uzuri's hand. Uzuri letting the Emberblade hit. Here, I do play the Snatch from Arsenal, which I highly disagree with. We will get 1 card from blocks and need to use our Snapdragon Scalers, or else we wind up in the same position of having something in our arsenal to protect. So yes, we do get to play our Lava Burst for 6, but it's an easy block from Uzuri. Choosing not to activate FaB, I believe, is correct because we do not want to put something in our arsenal. So we finally make the correct call. Uzuri choosing Censor. So knowing that she's choosing Censor, we choose Snatch. Snatch here is fine. We discard our Double Strike. If we could put our Uzuri on censoring Phoenix Flame again, maybe Rise from the Ashes is the wrong call. Maybe we choose something else to put in our arsenal that isn't Snatch. The Snatch is only going to attack for 3 because of Frailty. But Rise from the Ashes, even if it doesn't pick up a Phoenix Flame, is still worth 3 points of damage, as is Double Strike with the Shuko. So either way, this 4-card hand is worth 12 points of damage with a draw trigger. Double Strike being here spreads the damage out over more chain links and is probably better to do. But at this point in the game, I'm thinking that Uzuri can call Snatch with the Censor, and that Rise from the Ashes is going to get us more damage. She does, though, call Phoenix Flame again. So we play Rise, we pass the effect, and just play out our 12 damage hand. I have to say, these Censor timings are just atrocious for us. The Spreading Flames with a Phoenix Flame into a Rise from the Ashes is just bad timing. I think overall, Censor is not a card that I'm worried about in this matchup. If our hands looked different when the Censors came, who cares? What a nothing effect. But we got unlucky, and our poor choices up to that double Censor point just really reinforce the consequences of that bad luck. Looking for scrap, coming for 5, expecting some sort of big effect from Uzuri's arsenal. What are we doing with this hand? Knowing that we no longer have our Snapdragons available to lead with a Snatch, we are just looking to pitch to the Flame Call Awakening and follow up with a Snatch, so we can give our Command and Conquer on blocks. I want to save it for whatever this is. I'm not interested in blocking the vanilla looking for scrap damage. So here I'm just going to take 5 and see what the follow-up is. Another Censor. Censor here does get a block. It does get the Command and Conquer, which we otherwise wouldn't be able to do anything with. Command and Conquer here, I suppose, is worth 3 points of damage. We can pitch our Blaze Headlong to our Flame Call Awakening. We can pitch our Command and Conquer to Flamescale Furnace to attack with the Emberblade, and then finish the turn with Snatch. So either on offense or defense, Command and Conquer is worth 3 points of value. Here, being so low on life, and knowing that this Uzuri is more of an aggressively slanted deck, I am fine to spend it on blocks. Instead, we block 5 damage. I don't like this play at all. Because, again, what are we going to do with this Blaze Headlong? We're going to stick it in our arsenal, and now we have to protect it. The cardinal rule of FaB versus Assassin is don't arsenal things. And we are really just ignoring that. With this hand, we can turn our Soulbead Strike into a Phoenix Flame. We can then play Phoenix Flame, Blaze Headlong, activate FaB, Phoenix Flame again, and arsenal a Sink Below. So what I want to do here is block this Infect with Soulbead Strike Red. We have our Sink Below available in case Uzuri attack reacts into anything. I'm happy to Sink Below just in case of Command and Conquer. But Sink Below also great at stopping the Shakedown on hit. We'll block with our Soulbead Strike and see what Uzuri does with this information. She just passes through reactions, setting up an arsenal, but nothing that we need to spend our Sink Below on. We do have the ability to break Mask of the Pouncing Lynx here, but because we're getting our Shuko trigger, Mask only breaking for 5 points of damage, Uzuri is at a high enough life total that I want to save Mask, get more value out of it, and pressure Uzuri with it more. Uzuri taking the first Blaze Headlong, blocking 3 on the second. We will activate FaB, pick up our Phoenix Flame, still not breaking Pouncing Lynx. Phoenix Flame here coming for 2. Breaking Pouncing Lynx now gives us Salt Wound or Lava Burst, both come for 5. Neither one is something that I am interested in, so we will just pass. Arsenal to Sink Below, probably the first correct Arsenal decision we've made all game. Spider's Bite coming for 1, not something we need to block. We have a Sink Below and a Reinforced Line. Either way, I am good to let the Spider's Bite hit and decide how we want to proceed. Isolate coming for 1, flipping potentially into a 6. We cannot block this Isolate with a 2 block attack and Reinforce the Line or Sink Below because of the Spider's Bite effect. So I don't want to block this at all. I don't know what Uzuri is going to flip into, but we have the opportunity to react to whatever it is. If it is a Command and Conquer, this Sink Below will be out of our arsenal and not something we need to worry about. If it is a Shakedown, we have a number of red cards to choose from. We will still be able to threaten more damage on our turn than Uzuri did, so we are still winning that race. So I want to not block this. I want to wait until she uses a reaction, then play the Sink Below, and I'm interested in sinking this Reinforced Line. I'm looking for a blue here. There's also an argument to be made for blocking with Flamescale Furnace. We make Uzuri need to have something to flip into, and we are able to block out the potential Shakedown. But even so, I would rather play with a 3-card hand and still have my armor. This is a Shakedown. We do manage to block it out. If we still had been hit by the Shakedown, she probably calls red, takes a Ravenous Rabble. Our hand is looking like 4-4. That's 8 points of damage. We are winning that race. As it is, we do block out the Shakedown. We have a 4-card hand to play with and a kind of clunky Art of War. There's an argument to be made for playing the Art of War. We have a Flamescale Furnace, so we can pitch a red, banish a red, and potentially pitch a second red later this turn to pay for an Emberblade. We can also just start with a Ravenous Rabble, see what the top card of our deck is. If it's red, we get a 12 damage turn, 4-4-4. We can even potentially finish that up with a Pouncing Lynx to find Salt the Wound or Lava Burst if we really wanted to push some damage here. But the first thing we want to do is play a Rabble and see what the top card of our deck is. We do reveal a red, so I like 4/4. I like threatening 12 points of damage this turn. Yes, we burn our floating resource, but using this Art of War here has the potential to put us in a weird situation. We do decide to go for it, knowing that a brand is on top of our deck. Gives us at least one card that we'll be able to play. Worst case, we could pitch another red into our Furnace to attack with the Emberblade. Salvage the rest of this turn cycle by getting 7 points of damage rather than 8. A very aggressive Pouncing Lynx break. It's not something I agree with. Uzuri still has armor that she can block with. Uzuri is still at a high enough life total that, yes, we're getting Art of War Shuko value from this Pouncing Lynx. This is a 7 damage Lava Burst. But Uzuri's at a pretty high life total. She is blocking this because she can afford to, and we want her to block it because she has to. Blocking with the Crown, sinking the Arsenal to get a card into hand likely to block this Lava Burst. Uzuri blocks the Lava Burst for 3, goes to 12, so we really recover from our earlier life deficit, but I think we could be in a much stronger position. Here, another Censor coming in. Let's look at what we have in hand and what this turn cycle looks like. It's pretty bad, especially knowing that Uzuri is going to name Phoenix Flame. We could turn a Stab Wound into a Phoenix Flame. Phoenix Flame for 0, Emberblade for 3, Activate FaB, Phoenix Flame for 2, and E-Strike 7 is a total of 12 points of damage. Assuming this was anything else, but knowing that it's Censor, that this Uzuri is likely to call Phoenix Flame, we should block for 3. We'll take 2 points of damage. We will play our Lightning Strike, bottom a Stab Wound, give the E-Strike +2, and arsenal this reinforced line. If Uzuri wants to call Phoenix Flame, that's totally fine. We are not going to interact with our discard at all. Phoenix Flame is what she calls, so we will E-Strike for 7 and arsenal our reinforce. Uzuri giving us 4 points of block. We'll deal 3 and just pass the turn. Here, Hurl coming for 3. Uzuri not paying for the Hurl effect. We're fine to take our 3 points of damage. Leave No Witnesses coming for 4. With this Reinforce the Line in Arsenal, we have the opportunity to block with any of our attack reactions and reinforce the line, and come in for 7 damage with another Reinforce in Arsenal. If we chose to play a little more aggressively here, let the Leave No Witnesses hit, we could come for 14 points of damage, 3, 4, 7. Uzuri would need to block 6 in order to not be dead. That is 2 cards from her hand, but she still has 2 cards that she can threaten with. We would be at 5 and in a precarious position. So I'm happy to block this Leave No Witnesses and use our Reinforce the Line. We get to send 7 points of damage back and put another Reinforce in Arsenal. What I would like to do here is block with Ronin Renegade and use our Reinforce. E-Strike for 7, bottoming Blaze Headlong, keeps a Blaze Headlong in our deck. Instead, choosing to block with the Enlightened Strike. This does play around Shred a little better, but we have not seen our Uzuri be inclined to play Shreds, rather just blocking with and pitching them. We send 7 back on our turn. See what Uzuri wants to attack us with. Letting the plays hit, going to 5, we set a reinforced line in Arsenal. Uzuri attacking with Death Touch. How do we want to block this Death Touch? Representing a potential 8 points of damage between the 6 power and 2 Blood Rot. But what I'm really afraid is the Black Tech Whisperers giving go again, then Uzuri following this with a card from hand, flipping into Shakedown, Command and Conquer, something really scary. So we can do a number of things. We can block with our equipment and our Command and Conquer, holding our Reinforce the Line just in case. We can block with just our Command and Conquer, using our Reinforce the Line to block the additional damage and keeping our armor available. If we don't have this Command and Conquer in hand, we are looking at 3, 6, 7, 11 points of damage. That takes 2 cards and armor, or 3 cards from Uzuri to not be dead. That's a great spot to be in. The question is just, do we value this Reinforce the Line, or do we value our armor? And here, I believe the correct call is to value our Reinforce the Line, block Exactsies, and play around the potential for Shred. Keep our Reinforce the Line. That is what we choose to do. We are blocking for 6. Uzuri playing Sigil of Solace, but not using the Whispers or a Shred. So we're going to push our 11-point turn, keeping our Reinforced Line in Arsenal. Ronan gets blocked. Let's see if this Emberblade gets blocked. Uzuri taking 3 here. We will activate FaB. We'll send Phoenix Flame and finish with Ravenous Rabble. Uzuri playing another Sigil. Rabble thankfully hitting for 4. Uzuri not blocking, going down to 3. Uzuri here coming with Command and Conquer. We have a Reinforced Line, so we can block the CNC, use our Reinforce. We have a number of 3 blocks, so there's nothing to worry about here as far as taking lethal damage, as far as not being able to fully block the CNC. You see me check my discard for a Phoenix Flame. I'm checking to see how many are left in my deck. The answer is 1. So knowing that this CNC does not represent lethal damage, Uzuri cannot black tech the CNC. Uzuri does not have any way to give this CNC plus damage. She can't Razor Reflex it. She can't Art of War. There's nothing, no weird trick that gives the CNC plus 3 damage. If we let it hit, we go to 3, we lose our Reinforced Line. On our turn, we get to send E-Strike, bottom this Salt Wound. E-Strike for 5, go again. Pitch Roll off of Vain Loyalty for Flame Call Awakening is 3, go again. Emberblade is 3, go again. Phoenix Flame is 1. We pick up a Phoenix Flame, send 1. We are sending a total of 5, 8, 11, 13 points of damage. Uzuri needs to block 11 of that to not be dead, which is going to get 3 cards from her hand and 2 pieces of armor, or all 4 cards, which also leaves her very low on life. The correct play here, the winning play, is not to block this CNC. We just take the damage. Instead, I'm going to send 7 here. E-strike, bottom of flame call, but this doesn't win. And that's what we really need to be looking to do here. The longer this game goes, Uzuri's going to find a codex. Uzuri is going to start coming back to the isolates that she was bottoming to her hero power earlier in the game. And it just puts us in a position where we can lose. That last turn was the turn to win. We give up the reinforced line, we take 6, and then we just kill her. But as it is, we do get to block out this Death Touch. We just end up with a clunky hand. We can play our Art of War here, banishing our Rising Resentment, and just really chancing it. That's probably what we should do. What we're going to do instead is Rising Resentment, pitch our Warmonger's Diplomacy to attack the Emberblade, Phoenix Flame for 1, bottom an Art of War, and just hope that we're still alive. But now we're below 6 life. We have to respect anything that Uzuri can react onto the battlefield. Shakedown really messes us up. Command and Conquer punishes this Art of War, and we even wind up with this hand with Reinforced and Sink Below. We aren't able to apply pressure. Uzuri coming with E-Strike for 5. Go again. We're going to Sink Below, and we're going to sink this Reinforced line just to draw a little more heat. Uzuri coming with Codex, pulls Leave No Witnesses, which we do need to block. So first we're going to play out this Art of War, and we can pitch a Rise from the Ashes to do it. That lets us banish a blue, draw 2 cards. We can block this Leave No Witnesses for the full 4, but then we only have 2 cards in our hand. There's only so much we can do at that point. We can draw a head jab and a blue, 3-3-1, but Uzuri gets to block the first 2 3s. She takes 1 damage and goes to 1, and then kills us with her 2 cards. 2 head jabs here, kind of the same effect. Here we are going to block 4, we're going to mitigate some life loss, but without the Art of War buff on our turn, each of these cards gets 1 block. Uzuri gets to keep 3 cards and probably kills us. Drawing up into a decent enough hand. Looking for Scrap comes for 5 with Go Again. We're going to block this with the Command and Conquer. See what Uzuri's follow-up is. She doesn't have one, which is pretty interesting. We can possibly put her on a blue Isolate here. Blue Wither, maybe. For our hand, we get to throw out something real. Spreading Flames, Brand with Cinderclaw, Searing Emberblade, Phoenix Flame is 3-3-2-2. Each one of those attacks needs a block from Uzuri, but the Spring Tunic can block the last 2 power attack, put Uzuri down to 1, and that still puts us in a weird spot of needing the right combination of cards to kill her. Getting a Sink Below on the Emberblade is just fine with me. We get a little more value there, but still trading 1 card for 1 card. This Phoenix Flame comes in for 2. we do get the Tunic block that takes Uzuri down to 1. Here, the Isolate coming for 1, we correctly put her on Isolate from Arsenal, but thankfully, this is a surgical extraction. We would have been dead to Command and Conquer or Shakedown. Uzuri taking our Mounting Anger. We are going to get to throw Phoenix Flame, Emberblade, Phoenix Flame on our turn. We get 2 cards from Uzuri, but if she has any 2-cost, 6-power attack, we'll still lose to it. Phoenix Flame gets a card. Let's see what Uzuri has left. Isolate. We are going to start with an Art of War. I could check my graveyard here to see if I still have a Sink Below or Reinforce the Line in the deck. Really looking for Reinforce the Line here to be able to block whatever comes from hand. I cannot react to the Isolate. It has Dominate. So I'll block here with the 4-block Stab Wound, but we have no way to stop this Command and Conquer, and we will throw the good game. Overall, very close, a little closer than I would have thought this game would end based on our 11-point life deficit in the mid-game, but we can see how all of our small mistakes really snowballed into a loss. We had clunky cards in our deck, like Command and Conquers that we never played, Double Strike that got discarded, and if either of those had been a blue, our turns could have been more impactful. We saw how we tunnel visioned on playing defensively, getting our Reinforced Line value on our on the Command and Conquer, rather than just winning the game. These are the sorts of small decisions that this channel was created for, to go back and say, where did we mess up? Yes, we got unlucky with the Censor timings, but the variance there just compounded mistakes that we already made. And if we had played a little better, if we had boarded correctly, if we had had our head in the game, we wouldn't have lost. Those would have been small speed bumps on our road to victory, but instead they drove us off the road altogether. I'm glad to have been able to bring you the first Uzuri game on this channel. She is a strong hero. I believe FaB is favored into her, but there are a lot more micro decisions to be made against Uzuri than against other aggressively slanted decks, and it is important for us to keep our head in the game and make sure that we're boarding and playing and thinking correctly about the game. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. I hope you all learned something. I know I did. It was great to see that last E-Strike turn again and realize, oh, I really could have won here. I will be back tomorrow with more FaB gameplay. Until then, have a great night, and I will see you all later.